Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching. Before you do anything else, please like, subscribe, and share. And today I'm wearing a bomber jacket because Karamo from Queer Eye always wears bomber jackets, and I'm a huge fan of the show. The first season, I think I cried in every episode except the last one. So he released the book, and here I have it, and I just read it. I think I read it in 3 sittings. I just finished it right now. I think it took longer for it to get here than it did for me to read it. I would like to just take a moment for you to admire how handsome, how attractive this man is. So let's get into my book review. Obviously I love it, but I want to talk a little bit about each chapter. So chapter 1 is titled, What's in a Name? And chapter 1 ends with him talking about his father, he engineered my life starting with my name, which I thought was a very bold statement because I don't know how much importance people give to someone's name, but the way his father picked his name, and he tells you in here, it's like that's the perfect name for him, and he lived out the meaning of his name. And his name is Karamo Brown, which is Swahili in origin, and it means educated rebel. So it talks about how that is so true to who he is as a person, and it talks about all the nicknames he had. At first it started with KK, and then it was with Junior and Jason Rain Brown and Ramos. So chapter 1 tells you why those nicknames, and it's very interesting. And then I read this line that just really, when I read it, my heart sank and I felt really sad because it talks about just how his father, like he said at the end, engineered his life. And then it says, my name is a gift given to me by my father. Right now, my relationship with him is broken and non-existent. After years of conflict, my sexuality was the final nail in the coffin for him. And I truly felt really sad for him. And I don't know, just because to think that somebody cuts you out of their life for your sexuality is a little bit, I mean, it hits close to home. So I would like to know the whys about this relationship. If you can fix everybody else's inner being, like, why can't you fix this with your father? But then I'm just making assumptions. I don't really know what's going on or what went on or what hasn't gone, but that's something that I'm very curious about. So chapter 2 is the pain of colorism. And colorism is prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a certain skin tone, and it's something that's been around forever in America and around the world. And that's so true because even in Mexico, lighter skinned Mexicans versus darker skinned Mexicans, he talks about just that played out in slavery. It's actually a very educational chapter, and a lot of the book is I feel like everything that he talked about is something that we could learn from. I love this line that says, it was then that I learned comparison was killing us, and you should never compare yourself to anybody, or as a father or mother compare your children. I think that's the worst you can do. We are our own selves in our own path that goes at our own pace. I also like this. It says, when it comes to race, people don't hear you anymore if you're speaking from emotion. And that's very true. You kind of have to stay level-headed. Once you get emotions involved, it shifts the way people perceive what you're saying. It also talks about in this chapter how the way words make you feel. If you don't tell the person how those words are making you feel, then they might think it's alright to continue to say those words. If you don't have the confidence to speak up at the moment, then you must find someone you trust who can be your voice. And a lot of things we don't communicate with how we feel, and if we were to make just minor adjustments and say, hey, that doesn't sit very good with me or whatever, you would be surprised how people would react. It's easy to stop making certain comments. I remember my brother once said, hey, I don't like when you say this, can you please stop? And since that day he said that, I stopped, and that's never been an issue. And then chapter 3 is God is Love. He talks about growing up, he went to Lakewood Church in Houston, who is Joel Osteen's church, which I have a lot of mixed feelings about Joel Osteen. I've seen all the memes, and I just think I don't know. I just don't get how these churches have so much money, they have huge homes, and there's yet so much poverty, not only in the world, in America. There's just an imbalance there that I just don't agree with. This chapter actually talks about Rastafarianism, which originated in the 1930s, which is his father's religion. Very interesting, something I knew nothing about. In this chapter, he talks about how some comments were made in church, and he says, I could hear them make comments. Why is he so close to Mateo? Look at the way he walks. Look at the way he's tucking in his shirt. Why does he scream like that when he's playing? So based on what he would hear, he started correcting his behavior. And I remember getting that. I remember mom saying, hey, boys don't cross their legs. They don't cross their arms. Or you don't hold your cup like this. You don't do that or this. And I felt like my behavior was always under scrutiny. So I had to always be aware of what my body was doing, because you become really insecure because there is this false idea that men behave this way and girls the other. It's not black and white, there's a lot of gray. It also talks about the homophobia he experienced growing up wasn't from his peers but from adults, and it's so true. Like, children are not born homophobic. Those ideas get embedded by how they were brought up or what they hear their parents say. Chapter 4, overcoming the legacy of abuse, and in this chapter he talks about abuse that he experienced in his family. Chapter 5 is coming clean, and it's about just his addictions and how one addiction would stop, but then another one would come up, and we justify the addiction based on the fact that we still have our jobs, we make it to the 9 to 5s, we're responsible, and it's really just excuses, to continue the path of destruction it all leads to. In that same chapter, it talks about how he had attempted to kill himself. Suicidal thoughts is something that everybody has experienced at some point, and I think mental health is so important, and I think it's so important to have outlets and just ways to expressing yourself, your feelings, or what you're going through. So if you're having those type of thoughts, you're not alone. There is the suicide hotline, which the number is in the book, which is 1-800-273-8255. So there's support out there. There's someone you can talk to if you're feeling this way. No one should ever have to take their lives, especially because of feelings of inadequacy. Dream Deferred is chapter 6. And this chapter is very interesting because he talks about how he made it to the real world. And I really wanted to know how that all happened, and it tells you exactly how it went down and how he felt being in part of it. This chapter is also about kind of his journey, his personal journey in like his career and things like that. And he said something that made a lot of sense. People need to understand that they are always consciously or unconsciously affecting the choices and dreams of others. So when people say that they have this plan or that plan, you need to be aware of how you're reacting to that, because you could stifle someone's dreams just based on your own personal opinion. So we have to be very careful. I think we should nurture people who have aspirations and dreams, and the sky is the limit. The only boundaries there are the ones you set for yourself. And I love that he made a vision board, which is something that I want to do. I've always wanted to do it, and I think I'm going to do it here pretty soon, because I think when you have like a visual of where you want to go, I think you start putting those plans into action. You start putting it in the universe. Sometimes the universe conspires in your favor. Another thing he said is that a yes can propel you, a no will never hurt you, and a lot of things that we take no's so personally, and it can't hurt you unless you allow it to. Chapter 7 is fatherhood. So he has 2 sons, and it talks about how all that happened, which is very interesting, and it's really neat. And he's a great father from what I read and from what I've heard his friends say online. So it's a really interesting chapter. Chapter 8 is titled Hopes for the Future. And that's just basically how he started his relationship with his fiance, how the proposal went, all of that. It's very interesting, very romantic, and very inspiring. And then chapter 9 is how he got to the show Queer Eye, which I was very interesting to know why and how he got there and what the process was like. And what I thought was very cool as before, like on day 1, him and the original, the ones who were on the show now made a group text and called themselves the Fab Five. So that was really cool. It's like they predicted it, that they would be the selected ones. Anyway, I super recommend this book. I think it's a great read. I was completely hooked. Like I said, I read it in three sittings. I can't wait for season 3 to premiere. I think it's on the 15th of March. I also now want to read Tan's book, and I know Jonathan Vaness also has a book. I will be reading his as well. Go get the book. It's super good, super entertaining. Please read. I feel that's something that people don't read anymore unless they're on social media, but that's just noise. Read something inspiring, and this book is definitely that. Tell me what you think if you read the book, and please like, subscribe, and share, and until next time. Hey, Karamo, and I have faith that you're going to get your talk show one day, and hopefully I'll be one day sitting on my couch and tuning in. But anyway, till next time, adios y bye.